Hello. Okay, so that's my name. Okay. I have someone in the crowd. If she starts laughing, please laugh along, because I have some terrible jokes coming up. Okay, so I'm going to start. I started this journey, and I'm going to start asking myself, are Portuguese women hairy? Because I've always had trouble with hair. And stereotypes are a lie. And then the most recent adventure in Lesvos with the Falafel Group, I will also dwell on that and explain a little bit of what we did there and what experiences I got from it. So this young lady, she is a very popular meme in the internet. And yeah, she is very attractive, as you can tell. But lately, the stereotype is not this. Because thanks to Brazilians, the Portuguese have inherited waxing. And it's a very cheap technology in Portugal, and laser epilation. So you're more likely to find a hairy American than a hairy Portuguese. Yeah, they even tie-dye their armpits, which is pretty cool for some. So what does this talk about? Why am I going on about hair instead of going on about stereotypes? Because this is a comical stereotype. Let's first define what is a stereotype. Stereotype is a rigid idea someone has of a group of people who have a common background, say religious background. Similar looks, could be the color of your skin, your race, where you were born and raised. Could be anything really, could be architecture students, could be a group of people who have something in common, and you immediately assume something that's rigid about them. So what is the use of this? What's this for? It's mainly to predict feasible and dangerous situations. So you predict that something might happen that it wouldn't be feasible for you. Or it would, therefore you're more likely to get along with certain people than others. Because you assume things. For example, you wouldn't get with a Portuguese girl because she's hairy or not. Then there is, what is it that informs the stereotype? We go on about stereotypes, and a lot of things can inform it from past experiences and media, which is what I'm going to touch on the most for now. But there's a lot of things that could inform a stereotype. Meanwhile, books, I don't know, things you read online. It could be what your family has raised you to think about other people, how they've raised you to think about. So now I'm going to try to explain why I believe or I think that stereotypes are not reliable anymore. And that is because, first of all, if we go by experience, you can't possibly experience a whole group of people to say that's the case of these people. You just can't. We as individuals come across so many different people. You can't, even if you spend your entire life meeting black people or anyone of a certain cultural background, you can't assume everyone who's black is a robber, for example. And this is a not so comical stereotype, and it really affects people because the hairy one was all funny. But you can't move on, you can't use stereotypes anymore in the same way as people used to use it. You can use them as jokes, maybe. Some people will get offended by them. But if you're taking them seriously or too seriously, it's not good for others and it's not good for the overall community, at least the one we live nowadays. So another thing that's been happening is that the media is over-exaggerated and sensational, and you have to keep in mind that these are not reliable stereotypes to believe on. And as well, nowadays there's third culture kids and globalization. I mean, a most recent thing of the past decades that's actually changing the world, is turning us into a less rigid and less simplified version of humans. So this is me and my friend Teriro in Germany just a couple of weeks ago in Rhein and Flammen. She has the Weißwurst of Deutsch, and I have the chorizo, which is Portuguese. So as you can tell, it's very multicultural, and we live like this. I mean, how many of you are British or have not been abroad? No one. As you can tell, we've all had a sort of international experience, and this is important to realize that what we think about people through what we experience has makes a change and it's on stereotypes. So, like I said, we have become less rigid and less simple. And this is important because we need to accept this in order to understand that we can be stupid, and it's okay to have stereotypes in our minds. Because if you've been raised a certain way, I mean, it's very difficult to think otherwise. If you've only experienced a certain way of seeing someone, it's very hard to overcome it. But you have to understand that you can be being stupid about someone. You have to allow yourself to be proven wrong about a stereotype. And this is the important bit. It's okay to have stereotypes, but when you know that you can be wrong, you will need to put yourself forward, allow for experience to take over you, and rationalize how you're thinking. Rationalize things. What's the most likely thing to happen? And then you will become aware of what's going on around you. You can't just be living lies, be saying things that you don't actually are 100% sure of, without even putting yourself forward to try and experiment. So this whole talk is mainly about getting you thinking, I should be able to be proven myself wrong. And that should be all of our challenge throughout life, is that we step onto things and we change them. And this is becoming a faster process these days because of globalization. So going on to my Lesvos trip with the Falafel Group, organized by Silvia Converso, which is a very enchanting lady. And she organizes a trip with a group of architects where we built some infrastructure. And there we were hanging out, and a bunch of different backgrounded people, Muslim, Christian, black, white, whatever, and we were all bringing it together to help make a strong camp. Our camp was a non-registered NGO, so we had to collaborate very often with each other. We tried not to get involved with police and local authorities, and we really needed a unification, and we didn't care about background. We were in it for one thing. And this is what we did. We collaborated in the kitchen. There was no difference between refugees and volunteers, because we worked with the No Border Kitchen, and that's part of their manifestos. There's no distinguish between refugees and volunteers. We're all in there to learn a lesson. We're all in it for the same. So we're all human beneath the surface. And this is our falafel. Everyone worked together. And by the end of it, we had this beautiful view of the sea. And it was very inspiring to be part of a picture where you can have a very conservative Muslim community right next to these naked punk Germans sitting in the bath. It's a very good thing to be part of, and it gets you thinking. I went there because I wasn't sure about what was going on. My family often discusses at home, we don't like those people coming into Europe. They don't have the same values as us. And the things you see on the news, terrorism, etc., it kind of triggers you thinking. You have to be thinking about those things because it might affect you in the near future. And therefore, I wanted to put myself forward to actually experience part of the situation and build up my own opinion and not just rely on things that I see on television and on general media. So, that's something I think it's important is to share your opinion. So I would like to use this opportunity to promote 2 platforms that have allowed me to share this experience. And that is the KSA page, where I've written small episodes on what it was like to be in Lesvos and what it was like to be part of the experience with other architects. And Still This magazine is a student-led magazine currently operating here in Canterbury. And they will be up for receiving your articles with your different opinions on politics and arts. But do keep in mind, you need to experience things for you to come to a conclusion. It's not just what you read or what you see. It's what you learn from being with people. And this is something that's very important for me. That's my talk. Thank you, and some useful links for you to check out. Good luck.
Thank you for that, Louisa. We